Wow, this is like scary for some reason. Hello everybody, it's me Tick, back with another nail painting video. Because I have no motivation to do anything else. I'm back from college, as you can see. College, like, wrapped up pretty nicely, I guess. I graduated with distinction in my major and in my senior research, so that was pretty cool. There's only 2 people in my major at my school, so I guess it still means something, though. I, talked about my senior research thingy project thesis on here a little bit in the past, I think, but I had a lot of fun with it. I was analyzing that manga, Shimanami Tasugare, and, talking about, how it reflects, LGBT activism, I guess, but also, how community is formed over in Japan, and it was really, really, interesting to read about, and I had fun writing it. I had fun talking about it. We had to do, a big presentation once it was all finished, and, my whole family was there on Zoom, which was, mildly intimidating, but also, fun, because my grandma, was there, and she didn't know how to use her phone. She was watching Zoom from her phone, so she was, talking, and, holding it right up to her face like this, and she's going, hey, wait, help me, how do I mute? How does this work? And we're like, oh no, Grandma. You have to press the button in the bottom, and she's like, oh. But it was sweet. She was really excited. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm making this video for the same reason that I made the last, nail painting video. Nail painting and chat. Because, I've been feeling very, very demotivated. I feel like I got into this rut of, making videos and then, sending them to Discord servers and then getting no response, and I'd be like, oh, well, now I just don't feel like making anything anymore. And, even though when I post videos on YouTube, it gets a positive response on YouTube itself, for some reason that seemed louder than this, and I just, felt crappy about it, but it makes me feel better to just, chat about things in a low-key way. So I'm back. So now that I'm, back home, I have to look for jobs now, and that's been, the most stressful thing. But it's barely even, I feel silly for, calling it stressful, because it's, I print the application, and then it sits on my desk, and, I fill out, 2 lines of it per week. And for the rest of the time, it just sits there and, looks at me and makes me feel bad. But hopefully, by the end of the summer, I'll get that done. That'd be nice. It feels weird to, think that I'm, an adult ready to, enter the workforce. I still low-key feel like I'm 17 sometimes. I feel like I don't know anything. I was having this conversation with some people on Discord today, and they were like, oh yeah, I had to go get my license renewed, my driver's license, because I turned 21. And I was like, oh, do you have to, get it renewed when you turn 21? And they were like, yeah, you need to get it renewed. And so now, and, I didn't know that, so I'm like, okay, I guess I've been driving around with a bogus license for, years. So that's, a thing that I need to figure out, but, who is supposed to tell you these things? I feel like there are a lot of things about adulthood that, you're just expected to kind of know, but, I don't know where you would know them from. Our dogs are doing good. Bella is 1 year old now. And, she's still, just as clumsy as she's always been. She and Luna still don't really get along. But, Luna is starting to chill out a little more. So that's good. But, Bella is just so funny. It's she got so big, but like doesn't realize yet how big she is. Like her like mental perception of her size is not caught up with her actual size, so she like runs around the house and just like bonks her head on like the corner of the table because she doesn't realize that it's there. Or like she sits like right under the table next to my dad during dinner, and it's really funny because like she totally drools and slobbers like when she sees food. So she rests her head on my dad's thigh while he eats and just drools. And then sometimes she gets excited and tries to jump up and like get food, but she hits her head on the table, and like it's not just like bonk, it's like bonk. But it's like she doesn't even feel it. I hope she's okay. I'm trying to remove the nail polish that I put on for graduation. I did this like pink color with pink like glitter on top of it. And I ended up like not really liking it at all because the color of the pink underneath like came out looking a lot more like metallic than it looked in the bottle, or like it wasn't like a warm tone of pink, and I feel like it just looked really weird against like my skin color, so I didn't like that. And then also like the glitter is just so annoying to take off. But I'm almost there. As annoying as glitter nail polish is to remove, I'm gonna like do it again. Because I think it's fun. I like it more though when it's like when you do the glitter on like a few select fingers, because then it makes it look more like fun and funky, and then you don't have to deal with like scrubbing glitter polish off of all 10 of your fingers when you're tired of it. Or you could be like me and just wait until it all chips off. But I mean, this was like mostly chipped off and I'm still struggling. Okay, I think that's it. The other new thing, I guess, is that I've been like redecorating my room here. I put up a bunch of new photos on the wall, and I reorganized my bookshelf. I brought home so many books from college, it was like ridiculous. Trying to fit them all like back onto this space. But that's okay, because I love books. Alrighty. I'm ready for this. I'm gonna do black on the bottom and then pink glitter. Put some paper down so I don't mess up my desk. Oh, I should put that there. Oh, I should shake this. Speaking of books, though, I've been really, really obsessed with Bungo Stray Dogs lately. And it's funny because I never thought that it was a series that I would, like, actually get into. I should do this hand first. It's a very divisive, like, the opinion on it is very divided in the, Japanese department at my school. Like, half of the people there are really into it, and then half of the people are like, this is so weird. I can't even, like, watch it. It's so weird. And, like, for a while, I was in the, latter group. I just thought it was very, very strange. And I also would get annoyed at it because I would have to do, like, reports on books and short stories and stuff and, like, talk about the authors. My major was Asian studies, and I focused in, like, art history, but my minor was Japanese, and so I was in, like, a lot of Japanese literature classes where we would read these things, right? And we would have reports, and I'd be, like, looking up stuff, and it would just be like, oh my god, I don't care that Kenji Miyazawa has a supernatural ability that makes him super strong, I just need to know, like, what he was like in real life. because I'm doing a report for school. But I mean, oh, how the turntables, am I right? I started watching it, oh goodness. This is so messy. I started watching it, during spring term at the recommendation of one of my roommates, and then ended up like really, really enjoying it. And now I'm almost done with the anime. I have 2 episodes left. I've been watching season 3 with another friend because he never he watched the first 2 seasons and then forgot about it. So once I got to season 3, he was like, "Oh my god, let's watch it together." So we're doing that. But both of us are busy. But I have 2 episodes left, and I'm excited. I know that there are good Atsushi moments during this part, and I like him. You know what I'm just realizing? I should have, cut my nails before I started doing this. I don't know how this always happens, but when I cut my nails, it always ends up that, one corner of them is sharp. So, once they grow out a little bit, I have to, go back and clip, the right corner on all of my fingernails. I don't know if it's just, something weird about how I cut my nails. But I didn't do that. And now if I try, it'll mess up the nail polish. Oops. But yeah, trying to explain Bungo Stray Dogs to people who haven't heard of it before is really, really funny. The other day, my mom was asking me, because I've been watching season 3 with a friend, we watch it over Zoom together. And we get heated, I guess. I don't know, during the fight scenes, sometimes they're really cool, and you just can't help but go "Oh my god!" And then, my mom was asking me later, "Oh, what were you watching with your friend the other day? It sounded like you were having a lot of fun." And I was like, "Oh, it's, the series about classic authors, but they have superpowers," and she was like, "Oh?" So to explain it to her, I used John Steinbeck, because I think that's probably the only one out of them that she would know. When I was in middle school, I did this summer program at Stanford, and before we went out, my parents and I made a little trip out of it. We went out there together to visit stuff up there. And my mom, went on this John Steinbeck kick before we left. She was like, "Oh, don't you want to just, read all of his books? Because we're going to be going to, where he was." And I'm, 11, so I didn't really understand anything. But I read Cannery Row, and then we went to Cannery Row. And I guess, that was cool. I didn't understand the book at all, but I feel maybe now that I'm older, I might enjoy it more. But anyways, I was telling my mom, yeah, so for example, one of the characters in the series is John Steinbeck, and he has a superpower called the Grapes of Wrath that, allows him to control plants, and my mom is like, "Oh, that's very interesting." And then it just devolved into, why I think that the series is so weird, but why I can't stop watching it. And it's you know how sometimes somebody gets you started talking about something that you really like, and then you just can't stop talking even though you're aware that they're not interested and that it's cringy. That's how I felt while explaining to my mom why I feel weird about all of these author characters. Let's see. I thought that the whole bit in season 2 with the guild was weird, because those were like the authors that I guess I was more familiar with, having like gone to like American public school. We had to read a lot of that stuff like in high school and whatever, and that just felt like very strange. But I guess like I could say the same thing about like the Japanese authors, because like I read a lot of them in college. And it's really funny, like, now that like I've read a lot of these people's works, and then like to see how they turned them into like anime characters is very interesting. Like I feel like I would have had a very, very different experience with watching the series if I had like watched it in like 2016 or whenever it was like actually first becoming to start getting hello? Starting to become starting to become popular. God damn. Yeah, if I had watched it back then, I would have had like a drastically different experience with this stuff. Maybe I wouldn't hate Rampo so much. I like Rampo. I just feel like my opinion of him would be very different if the first like work that I read by him wasn't Bokugo. I don't even know like what the English title of that one is, or if it's been translated, but the one that's about like the air raid shelter, that was the first like short story by him that I had read, and that just like tainted my opinion of anything having to do with Rampo, because like me and all of my classmates that were reading that, and like our professor made us read it aloud too, like, so we were like reading this weird shit. If that wasn't like my first experience with Nampo, I would not feel so weird about his anime character. But alas. We read that, and then we read Human Chair, and we read Oshiete Tabi Suru I've also been watching Pretty Boy Detective Club, and that episode title gave me so much brain damage. Oshiete Tabi Suru Otoko. And that one I thought was cool. But oh, Hitode Nashi no Koi, with the like puppet in the shed in the backyard, that one was very, very strange. But our professor just had like eccentric tastes in literature in general, so we read a lot of like very, very weird stuff like that. And you know, maybe if the first like time I had heard of Nampo was through like Shonen Tanteidan or something like that, I would be like, oh yeah, his anime character makes sense. But like now every time I see him in there like being cute, I just like can't enjoy it, because I'm like, that's the man who wrote Imamushi. You know? Like, it's very hard to separate that in my mind. I like him a lot as a character. I think he's very, very fun. Kenji Miyazawa is also pretty fun. I did a report on him in like a year and a half ago. It was right when we started, like right when things started going online. So that was also like interesting. So my memory like associated with that is Gomennasai. My memory associated with that is I wrote a report about Serohiki no Goshu, like Gosh the cellist, for the short stories class that I was in, and had to make a presentation about Miyazawa and like about the story and everything, and I was like, before I really like understood anything, so I was like getting these images in Google Images of like young farm boy and being like, what on earth? And then like the Bungo Stray Dogs wiki like comes up as a top result like almost all the time when you search for these people. So I like opened that just out of curiosity, and it was like, what does this mean? And now look where I am. But yeah, that was like the first term that we were doing online school. So we all had to go home from college, and I was like trying to do like Zoom class from my room, and on the last day of class it was when we were all giving our presentations, right? But like right before I was supposed to go, my internet cut out, and then I was trying to like reconnect, and I got kicked from the meeting, right? So I was trying to like reconnect to the internet and like get back in time to give my presentation, and it was so stressful. And it ended up like being that I had to sit outside in the hallway at the top of the stairs because that was like where I could sit right next to the internet router and like reconnect to class. But I gave my presentation there, and it's like the dog is running up and down the stairs like right past me, and my grandma is walking past me looking like, oh, your Japanese is so good, and I'm like, I'm giving my final presentation in class. Like, this is not the time to compliment me on these things because I need to give this talk. It was so stressful, but like it ended up being fine, I guess. But that's like the memory that I have tied with Kenji Miyazawa, and I think about that every time he shows up in the show. I think this is dry enough for a second layer now. Kunikida and Atsushi are kind of the ones that I didn't like know anything about and still don't really. I think Kunikida's character is very, very funny, and like very relatable, because I too hate it when my schedule gets messed up. Atsushi is fun. Atsushi is a furry. There is no way you can get me to believe otherwise. I love the fan art where people like draw him like as a human but acting like a cat, like chasing laser pointers on the ground and stuff. It's like so funny to me for some reason. But I like him a lot. I think that Yosano Akiko is pretty cool. One of my roommates made this really cool woodblock carving, like to make prints of one of Yosano's poems. The one about like the dead fish on the bottom of the ocean, and it looked really cool. She's a really good artist. She also hates Bungo Stray Dogs. She would like leave the room when I would talk about it with our other like roommates, like suite mates or whatever. Like we were in a sort of apartment thing together, but she would like leave the room. We were in a class together about like the history of manga and like book culture and like mostly Edo Japan. And one of the projects at the end of the class was like make your own print, and then we would printed a bunch of them and shared it with the class so that everybody could make like a little book. It was fun. Carving woodblocks is hard though. Oh man, I am just messing this up. I think that Chuya is hands down the coolest character in the series. I think that his ability is badass. I like his outfit. I think his hair is ugly, but I also like it too. I don't know, I just think he's really cool. And like, I want to read more of like real life Chuya's like poetry and stuff. I read some of it, and it was like, you know that thing where you read something and then you just kind of sit there because you're like, damn. But you know, it's like, wow, like people, like humans are out here having emotions and putting them into words that like communicate the emotions to me, a person who like decades later and who has like no connection to what was happening can like still feel it, and like, you know, there's something like really cool about that to me. Like, I just love like literature and like art history and stuff like that for that reason, you know? Like, studying the way that people created things that last into the present makes me feel some kind of emotion. Who else is there? Ah, Dazai. Of course, Dazai. How could I forget Dazai? I like him very much. I don't know, I ended up liking anime character Dazai very, very much. And, I don't know, I think he's fun, but he also makes me emo. And I'm sorry that I was ever annoyed at him during class. Anime boy Dazai, I'm sorry I got frustrated at you when I was doing a report on Ningen Shikaku and I needed to find pictures of the author, but like Google Images was just flooded with pictures of anime. We read Ningen Shikaku at school and it really like fucked me up for quite a long time. It's like it's another one of those books that you read and you just go like, shit, man. Because it like felt so raw. I don't know. It like kind of makes you aware of like how easily things can fall apart, and that was like a very scary thing that I was like dealing with at the time we read that. So the timing of our class reading that book was also just not good for me personally, but that's a me problem. I think even so, like with all that considered, I did like it. I think he has a really nice style of writing. And I want to try reading more of his things. But I need to, like, space them out so I don't get depressed. Who else is there? I feel like I'm forgetting people. Wow, someone's dog is angry. I'm trying to use my new microphone this time. So I don't know whether it picked that up or not. But at least our dogs aren't like fighting constantly like they were the last time I made a video. I really hope that this like works. I don't know, I feel like a lot of the time I just feel like I don't know anything about how like computers work at all. And like this microphone kind of intimidates me because there's so many things that like I need to do to make it work, and there's so many like cables. My computer and like everything is down here on the floor because I needed to put it far enough away from the microphone so that the microphone wouldn't pick up the terrible fan noise from the computer because it's being overworked so hard with all of this. But yeah, my floor of my room right now is just like a mess of cables and stuff. But I hope it pays off. I would just record it on my phone to be like easier on myself. But I feel like last time, like it just picked up a lot of background noise, and then when I was like editing it in iMovie, I had to like raise the volume a lot and then put like weird filters on it to like decrease the background noise, but then it just made it sound canned. So I'm trying this. I guess if this doesn't work, I could just use the phone audio, but like sekkaku I set this up and everything, so like I hope it'll be okay. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Oh no! Okay, we're okay. I'm trying to get my hair out of my eyes without messing up the nail polish. This is such a struggle. My hair, I think this is the longest that my hair has been in like a long time, actually. In at least a couple years. Because I kept shaving it. I think it's fun, though, to have it be long. It like... Okay, now that it's this long, it doesn't really do this so much anymore, but like, at the beginning of summer, like right at the end of, school and stuff, it was like right at the length where it was like long enough to do crazy things, but not long enough yet that it was like, you know, like once the hair is a certain length, it gets heavy and it just sort of weighs itself down so it doesn't like be wacko. But I would like join like the Zoom meeting for our class and stuff and like not realize it but have a piece of hair just like sticking that way, or like this would be really flipped out. And like my one friend who was in classes with me, like I always knew when it happened because I would join and then I would just see her do this like and laugh behind her hand. It was like, oh crap. I need to fix my hair. But it doesn't do that so much anymore. It, used to be really easy to, like, depending on how I would blow dry it, it would kind of, I could, like, make it look like different, like, anime characters' haircuts and stuff. Just because, like, if I, like, took this and, like, held it out and then blow dried it, it would stay that way. But now it weighs itself down. Which is fine. It's long enough now to, like, put in a tiny little ponytail at the back, which I think is super fun. But it kind of, like, looks like that thing where, like, anime characters will have, like, a ponytail, but they also have, like, all the shaggy hair, like, in front, and it just looks, like, weird. And I always think, like, did you really just, like, grow out like one section of the back of your hair to put in a ponytail and then like cut the rest of it to look like this? Because that's kind of silly. But they always somehow make it look cool. I think that's our neighbor's dog that's barking. His name is Bruno. He and Bella are buddies. Sometimes they'll like go in the backyard and there's just sort of like this metal fence that separates our two backyards. And when they're both like outside at the same time, they'll see each other and kind of like pace back and forth together along the fence and like try to sniff each other and like be silly. But they're moving soon, so they're gonna take Bruno and Bella's gonna be all alone. Because without Bruno, she won't have anyone to play with, because Luna doesn't play with her. But I mean, Luna's old, so... Oh my word. I'm almost done. Good thing, because my voice is getting very tired. I hope that this video won't end up being, like, super, super long. But, you know. My voice is tired and my jaw hurts. I don't know what I did to my jaw, but it's been hurting for like 3 days. So, it's another thing that I need to do is make a doctor's appointment about it. But I don't like making appointments. I don't like making phone calls and emails. It's cool that we can do so many things like online now, but I also feel like I just mess it up. So I'm always like nervous to schedule appointments online because part of me is like, but did it really go through? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I should double check by calling the office. And then I'm like, well, if I was just gonna end up calling the office anyway, I should have just done that in the first place. But alas. Wow, Bruno is mad. Oh, I know what else I can update you guys about. I put together... Please. I put together this little, pot of succulents from my room. Just to, like, have on my desk and look at. But I feel like it doesn't get enough sun on my desk, so right now it's on the windowsill. But I love it so much. And, like, even more so than the succulents themselves, there's this tiny sprout that accidentally got into the pot of succulents, and, like, I've been, like, way more worried about it than about, like, any of the actual plants. I think because, like, it runs out of water sooner and then it wilts, and then I, like, feel like it's the end of the world because I'm like, I killed my baby sprout. But, like, every time that happens, I just put a lot of water on it, and within, like, an hour it's standing back up again, so I should have figured that out by now, but I never claimed to be smart. Let me get it so I can show you, actually. I'm gonna stand up, and this is where you see that, I like, never change out of pajama pants in my room, but this is my plant. Ugh. There are 4 of them. And here's the sprout. If it focuses. Why won't the camera focus? Please? Anyway. It used to be really, really tiny. Like, it just had 2 leaves. And it was like, baby. But it's grown so much. It makes me really happy. I think just having plants, like, in here in general makes me happy. But I need to give them names. So if anyone has, like, plant name suggestions, I would be super happy to hear in the comments. The only thing is that I want these 2 to have matching names because they kind of go together. They came in the same, like, pot thing when I bought them, so they go together. They're siblings. And I want to name one of them Marcia because when I was in college, I had this succulent plant that I named Marcia, but then she, I gave her to another person to take care of it over, winter break, and when I came back, she died. No, it was over the summer. So, she was dead, and, it made me sad. But I've decided that I'm just gonna name one of my new plants Marcia in her legacy. But I don't know which one yet. I think maybe the green one, because Marcia the first was green. I don't even know, like, what type of succulent she was. It was just, like, a plant that I, like, acquired by accident because another student had stayed in my room over winter break, and they just left it there, and, like, I never, like, and the person who was staying in my room was taking care of a bunch of plants for other people, so it wasn't even, like, the person who was renting my room, it was, like, another person beyond that, so I never figured out who it belonged to, and after a point I was just like, oh, well, I guess it's just mine now. And that's the origin story of Marcia. She was a good little plant. Good grief, Bruno. Bruno is an angry boy. He also likes escaping. He, like, sneaks out and then walks into our garage, and we're like, Bruno, you're not supposed to be here, and then like send him back, and then he comes back. We're like, oh. Alrighty, I think I'm done. Done until they dry completely and I take a shower and then peel off all of the nail polish that I got on my fingers. I'm so bad at painting nails cleanly, but like, it's fine. You just let it dry and then pick it off. And it's good because it stops me from picking at my chapped lips. Double win. Or I mean, I guess like a loss that becomes a win. But this is what I did. Like a beauty YouTuber. This camera does not like focusing on things close to it, I guess, but yeah. Black with glitter on select fingers. Now I feel cool and badass and ready to finally record Mobius like I've been talking about doing for ages. I've been feeling so motivated to sing that song ever since Mei-chan sang it at Hikifest. That was like the coolest thing ever. I almost didn't watch Hikifest because like I forgot that it was happening until my friend started texting me like, oh my god, did you see the people live tweeting about Hikifest? And I was like, what? And then that friend like hadn't gotten a ticket either, but we were watching like people live tweet the set list and we were like, okay, this actually looks like so good. And then so we bought tickets to watch the archive of it and then watch it together the next morning. And like, I'm glad that we did because it was so fun. And also Mei-chan sang Mobius and I died. It's fun that so many of those artists are like doing online concerts now. It makes me very happy. But anyway, I have been recording for almost an hour. I'm not gonna have fun editing this. Okay, I feel like I always get confused when I'm like recording a video somewhere and then recording the audio somewhere else, because then you have to line them up. Because like, they don't record at the same speed, which like, if I think about that too hard, I just get like extremely confused because like time is time. And how do you record the same amount of time at two different speeds and have one recording end up being longer than the other one, even though they were recording the same thing? This is not an invitation for like computer people to explain this to me in the comments either. Like, I just know that I won't ever understand it, like no matter how hard anyone tries. So it's just gonna remain as like one of those things that boggles my mind for the rest of eternity. But I think this video is long enough for now, so I'm gonna close this up and then spend a really long time editing it and crying. And then maybe by the time that's all done, I'll have the energy to like actually play a song or sing. Maybe not do guitar, because I don't want to mess this up. But that'll happen eventually. If you stayed for the whole time, thank you for listening. I hope that these videos are fun for people. I don't know. I had people tell me that they like put my last one on and then painted their nails with me, and like it was like a slumber party, and that makes me feel happy. So I hope this one will be fun too. But in any case, thank you for listening. See you next time.